All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I just want to welcome everybody, anybody who's from UCF or otherwise. Thanks for joining us for this workshop. We have a lot of staff and support staff in the chat. We also have a lot of different attendees coming from all over the country, so thanks for being here. First of all, I want to point you to the dl.ucf.edu/keep teaching website. Make sure if you haven't already checked that website that you're keeping up to date with that. If throughout this presentation, if you have any questions, we have the chat available. We also have the Q&A module. If you are not familiar with Zoom at all, you might not have used this before. You can find it at the bottom of your screen. It says Q&A. This is a great way to get in contact with anybody who is in any of our panelists so they can answer any questions you may have. We are definitely going to keep everybody's mics muted throughout this so that we can ensure that you're getting the content and the questions that you want answered, and you won't be one second. I'm sorry. Okay. So continue just to use those windows to reach out to anybody you need to contact. So I just want to let you know this is also being recorded, so it will be available later. I'm Ariana Davis. I work in the Faculty Multimedia Center. I'm going to be showing you some of how to use Zoom, but before we get to that, we are also going to have Janana Costa from the Web Courses support team show you a little bit about how to use web courses. So I will go ahead and let her get started.
Hello, everyone. Like Ariana mentioned, I'm Janana Costa. I supervise the Web Courses at UCF support team here at the Center for Distributed Learning at the University of Central Florida. So thank you for joining us here today. What we're going to do is I'll go ahead and give you a brief overview of what we'll discuss today during our workshop so that you know what to expect. So just to introduce this workshop, the audience for the workshop is faculty teaching face-to-face courses who need to quickly get prepared to deliver their courses online for the coming weeks. It is not intended to replace the professional development requirements that UCF requires in order to be credentialed to teach online at UCF. This is only a temporary offering. And with the understanding that faculty are already required to post their syllabus and grades in web courses at UCF, you may already be familiar with some of the basics, but we're going to start with the assumption that you are not using web courses at UCF on a regular basis at this time. So for our agenda, what we're going to do first is we're going to talk about how to access web courses at UCF. Then we'll talk about what's on your dashboard, publishing your course, different communication tools you can use to communicate with your students in web courses at UCF. That will include announcements, inbox, and Zoom, which we will talk about after the web courses demo. We'll also talk about how you can upload your content to the files area for your students to find. And then we will talk about posting assignments, discussions, and using your gradebook. So let's go ahead and get started. I will share my screen with you and show you how to access web courses at UCF. One moment. I'm unable to share my screen, but let me see here. Please bear with me for one moment.
So while Janan's getting that set up, I just do want to point everyone to the Q&A panel one more time. If you have any pertinent questions, that's going to be the best way to get your question answered. And we'll also be able to track all the questions and share those answers, the frequently asked questions later.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Ariana.
Looks like Janan's good.
I am good. So the first thing so this is our Keep Teaching website that Ariana mentioned. There is a shortened URL, so you can just go to dl.ucf.edu/keep teaching. We encourage you to go there because this is where we will post all of our announcements. You can keep up with what's going on at UCF. So let's go ahead and go to web courses. So the easiest way to access web courses is to simply type in webcourses.ucf.edu. You will be taken to a Shibboleth login page. What you'll log in with here is your NID and your NID password. If you or any of your students need assistance logging in here, what they can do is they can either contact Web Courses Support or they can contact the UCF IT Support Center for NID login assistance. So go ahead and click Sign On. So as soon as you sign on to Web Courses at UCF, you'll see your dashboard first. Your dashboard will show your current courses or your favorited courses. If you don't see your course here, it may be because you have too many courses to display at one time or something like that. You can click on Courses and click on All Courses. You'll see a list of every course that you're enrolled in. If you wanted to put a different course on your dashboard, you can click this little star. It'll favorite it, and then it'll show up on your dashboard. So we're going to look at the Keep Teaching workshop demo course that we've prepared for this workshop. So once you access your course, you'll notice that there's no content here yet. You may already have content there. You might have your financial aid activity or something like that already in your course, but many of you will not have any content in there yet. On the top right-hand side, you can see whether or not your course is published. This course is unpublished, and I'm going to advise that you publish your course right away. You can wait until you add the initial pieces of content that you want your students to see, but we do recommend publishing it right away because students will log on and expect to see your course. Even if there's nothing there, they'll at least see that it's being worked on. So go ahead and click that publish button. As soon as you click publish, you're going to be asked what you want your front page to be. So this will determine what students see as soon as they click on your course. We recommend using the course activity stream. The course activity stream will show the most recent activity in your course as the front page in the course. Once we add some items, I'll come back here and I'll show you how that looks. But it's great for this situation because since students haven't been the course hasn't been online in the past, they won't really know how it's set up or anything like that. So we recommend coming here we recommend doing that so they know exactly what to expect and what you've posted. So one of the first things we want to talk about is announcements. You'll notice that there's a little I that has a dash that's slashed through here. That means that there's no content in this section yet and that it's not visible to students. Once we do add an announcement, this will go away and announcements will be visible to your students. So let's go ahead and add an announcement. So in this announcement, what I recommend that you do is advise students how you're going to be delivering the course content for the next few weeks. If you're going to be using Zoom, I recommend that you mention that here. That way students know what to expect. If you're planning on using assignments or adding content to files, you can let them know here. You should also let them know how you're going to communicate with them. So if you're going to send them messages using the conversations tool or something like that, you can tell them that here. I also recommend advising students to make sure that their notification settings are set up. I'm not going to leave the page because I'm still working on my announcement. So for your announcement, let's go ahead and click save, and our announcement will be posted. So with regard to notifications, I recommend notifying your students that they should go to their notification settings and set their notifications for at least their announcements. So I recommend that they set it to as soon as possible. So as soon as an announcement is posted, they will be notified at the email address they have listed, or if they have any push notifications enabled, they can set that there as well. That'll just make everything easier because you'll have ready access to your students. So you'll notice that on the homepage of the course that My One Announcement is showing up now. This is what the recent activity feed will show you. This is why we recommend this, this feature. So the next thing you're going to do is, well, let's go ahead and look at the inbox. So the inbox allows you to message all your students. You may also find that some of your students have already contacted you here because they know that their courses will be delivered in web courses at UCF, and maybe they're already here looking for you. So you would just create a new message, select which course you want it to go to, fill in your subject line, and send. And this will go out to your students, and they will also be notified in their email if they have that notification set up to do so. So that's also recommended, so that way you reach as many of your students as possible. Because just in case students do not go online and check for that, you can at least get an email out to them. So the next thing that we wanted to showcase was the files section. You probably already have PowerPoint presentations or other documents that you want to share with your students. This is a place where you can put something like your syllabus, an updated syllabus, something like that. You can create folders to keep it organized. As soon as you do add something here, this will become visible to your students. You may also need to use the assignments feature. So it's pretty straightforward. So click on assignments and click on add assignment. You'll give your assignment a name. You will set the point value for the assignment. There are some other options. For example, you'll decide how you want students to submit this assignment. It can be a text entry, which would just give them a box to type their assignment into, or it can be a file upload. You can restrict file upload types. For example, if you wanted them to submit a Word document, you would just enter doc and docx, and those are the only file types that they would be allowed to submit. You can also use Turnitin here. You would enable it here. There are several options for you there. And then just click Save and Publish. Now you've created your first assignment in Web Courses at UCF, and if you click on Home, you'll see that an assignment notification has popped up. Students can come straight here and then just click and see what the assignment is. So that home page is very helpful. Another thing that you might want to do is set up discussions for your students. What you can do is you can set up a discussion that is like, I know a lot of faculty members will create like a coffee talk session where they want their students to kind of, to just congregate there in case they need to interact with each other. Or what you could do is you can create a graded discussion. So if you create a graded discussion, you would select the graded option down here. This would effectively turn your graded discussion into an assignment that's worth some points. The difference is that when they go to the discussion and put and reply, everybody else in the course will be able to see that as well. Another feature that you will likely be using is quizzes. What you can do here is in web courses at UCF, you can manually create quizzes in web courses at UCF by clicking on questions and then adding a new question. So we can say, you know, true or false type question, and then the answer is true. That's what that green indicates. Click a question, save and publish, and you've created your first quiz in web courses at UCF. And again, when you go to your home page, you'll notice that, oh no, I don't see my quiz. Okay, we'll ignore the fact that the quiz is not there. Because the quiz is not yet available to students. One other thing that I wanted to point your attention to is the gradebook. Anytime you create an item that is for a grade, it will pop up in your gradebook. So you'll notice that a new column has been created for the online assignment, the discussion that I created, and the quiz. My course doesn't currently have any students in it, which is why you don't see the columns here like you normally would, but you can see in the headings that my assignments have been created. If you wanted to grade this assignment, what you would do is go to the assignment, click on Speed Grader. There are no active students in the course, so I won't be able to show you very much. We didn't want to put any real students in this course. I don't think this is going to load since there are no students. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is enable Zoom. So Zoom is the teleconferencing software that we're using right now. It's been enabled for all faculty, staff, and students here at UCF. What you'll do is, since it has been integrated with web courses at UCF, you need to enable it so that it shows up in your navigation. To do so, click on Settings. You'll probably start here, then click on the Navigation tab. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. It's probably on the bottom because this was just installed. Click Enable. It'll pop it up to the top here. I recommend dragging it up since it's one of the most important things that your students are going to be looking for if you've told them that you are going to be utilizing Zoom. So put it up at the top there and then make sure you scroll all the way down and click Save. Now you'll notice that Zoom is on your navigation menu. When your students access your course, they will click Zoom. Any upcoming or scheduled meetings or even past recordings will show up here for your students. And so now that we're on the Zoom portion, I think I'm going to hand it back over to Ariana.
Thanks, Janan. Thank you. Thanks for showing us that.
Sure.
So while I was listening to Janan's presentation, I was kind of reading through the chat of things that people are asking to see. One of those is we're definitely going to show Zoom in a little bit. I can show you a few things that you can do in there. I also noticed that some people were saying, you know, that the audio is cutting in and out. For me, Janan was coming in really strong, but I'm using a wired internet connection. If you're on Wi-Fi, it might cut in and out. So that's something to think about when you're at home teaching. Just try to get a good internet connection before you start using a Zoom session. I also just want everybody to know that, you know, that Zoom is being used by a lot of people around the world right now. So there are going to be, you know, ups and downs to doing this, but we're all going to kind of keep pushing through and get through this together. So
Ariana,
yeah.
If you don't mind, I saw a question in the
Yeah.
Q&A asking about whether conferences will be covered. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick um, a quick intro to conferences.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, just one moment. Okay, so yes, conferences is a built-in teleconferencing tool in web courses at UCF. So what you would do is go ahead and click on conferences, click add conference. You'll give your conference a name. Type is going to be blue button because that's the only feature, that's the only integration that we have so far as far as conferences go in web courses at UCF. Other than Zoom, I guess, but this is built in. So you'll set the duration for your conference. If you don't want to set a duration, if you want it to run indefinitely, you can check no time limit. But we do recommend that you don't keep it running forever. We recommend using it like you can use it for office hours if you only invite one student, or it could just be because you want to discuss a specific topic or something like that. So let's just keep this 60 minutes for now. If you want to record the conference, you have to check this box before you start your conference, or else you won't have the option to record once you are in your conference. By default, you will be inviting all course members, as you can see down here. If you have observers in the course that are people like, an advisor or something like that, you can exclude them, if you don't think that they need to be included in the conference. Let's go ahead and invite all course members. By the way, if you uncheck invite all course members, it'll give you a list of your course members and you can check them one by one and exclude or include whoever you want. So we'll invite all the course members. I wonder how this is going to work since I'm the only person here. Let's see what happens. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So our conference has been scheduled. It won't start until the teacher clicks start. So this is how conferences looks. This is the blue button interface. There's chat, webcam, you can share your screen. There's a whiteboard, breakout rooms. This is how you can start recording your session. I'm not going to start recording, but that's where you would click. It's fairly intuitive to use. If you did have any questions regarding conferences, you can certainly contact Web Courses at UCF support. We're ready and able to help you with this. The big differences between conferences right now as implemented and Zoom as implemented at UCF is that conferences has a limit of 100 participants. Zoom currently has a limit of 300 participants. There are some little things like that that are a little bit different. It is a nice tool though. You can definitely use it if you're not going to reach that 300 person, that 100 person limit. So yeah, so conferences is an option. If you do have any specific questions regarding conferences, feel free to ask that in the chat. And I think that's it with regard to conferences.
Awesome. Thank you, Janine.
Thank you.
So I do want to mention one more thing before I get started on Zoom. This pertains to Zoom, actually. So if you are replying in the chat, there is a little to and then a little drop-down menu. If you are only replying to the panelists, then only the panelists are going to see your questions. If you reply to all panelists and attendees, then everyone will get to see your responses. In this case, if it's something that might be useful for everybody to know, go ahead and reply to all panelists and attendees. If you wish to only ask our panelists a question, like something very specific, feel free to only ask our panelists. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen and get started on the Zoom portion. So let me close that and share. Oh, wait, 1 second. So, Janine, let me see. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm going to have to take over from Janine. So while I'm waiting for to be able to share my screen, I just wanted to let everybody know that we also have the ability, like in the Zoom chat, when you're actually in a meeting, you would actually be able to chat with individuals as well. So when I'm hosting a meeting, I can actually chat individually with my students. I don't have to chat with everyone in the chat. Uh, and if somebody asked me something kind of personal or particular, I could respond just to that student. I also have, give me 1 second. So let me go ahead and ask. Oh, yeah, go
Ariana,
ahead.
I started sharing again and stopped sharing, hoping that would work. Try that again now.
I think since you're the host, I'm unable to share. I think you might need to make me the host.
Okay, done.
All right, and now I can share. All right, let's do this. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the Zoom portion. Sorry for just that little mishap. And so everyone should be able to see my screen now. Let me just double check. Okay. So it's a little weird. We have a little bit of inception happening here. I have a screen set, a Zoom session up. This is a Zoom meeting session. This would be typically what you would be using in your course. I'm sure a lot of you have covered, have watched the video that we show you a lot of the basics. I'm sure you've even gone to Zoom's website and seen a lot of the basics, but I am still going to cover that for anybody who hasn't seen those things. So this is the Zoom interface. Once I am done scheduling my meeting, like Janan showed earlier, which I'll just pull up one more time for you, since that was a little bit ago. Down here in Zoom in web courses, if I have a meeting scheduled, I would actually be able to start that meeting. So let me go ahead and run you through that one more time. So let's see. To start scheduling a meeting, I would just open Zoom in web courses, come to schedule a new meeting. I can change the name of the topic, or I can leave it as my course. I can enter a description of what might get covered. I can change the date of when I want this to the Zoom session to start. Ideally, that would be when your class time is, if you're planning on having participants join you live for class. So in this case, I'm just going to have it start at 4 p.m. I'll have the duration run for an hour. I can go longer if I want. I can also end the meeting early. This is not going to be a deal breaker for your class. Just make sure you have the right time zone. That should be on by default. If you want to create a recurring meeting, you have that option, similar to if you were doing this like in as a calendar invite. We are not going to require registration for this, and I wouldn't recommend you require registration for your class, as this is, as soon as I set this up in the Web Courses LTI, my students are going to get an email, so I don't really need to worry about registration. I know who I'm sending this to. I'm sending this to my students in my course. I have the option to join with my video on or off. I have the option for students to join with their video on and off, which I would recommend you leave off. I would also recommend you let them join with either their phone or their computer audio, just in case they're having trouble joining with computer audio. At least they would still be able to call into your session. I can require a meeting password, meaning if somebody stumbles upon my meeting and they don't have this password, they wouldn't be able to get in, but your students would get that when you schedule this meeting. You can allow them to join before you get here. So much like if anybody was in this webinar we're doing right now before we started, that you were able to be in here before we actually started the webinar. So we also have mute participants upon entry, which means if anybody joins the Zoom call, they're going to be automatically muted. That doesn't mean they can't unmute themselves. They can later, but at least when they first join, they'll be muted. So you don't have to worry about them shuffling papers or anything as they come into your class. We have the option to use the personal meeting ID. I would not recommend using this unless you're going to be hosting like office hours or anything like that, because this is where if you share this meeting ID with anybody, it's kind of like your own personal space. You can share that meeting ID with anybody and then they can join that. So if you use that and you've shared that meeting ID with somebody else, they could possibly just stumble in your class. So I'd recommend you leave that off. Enable waiting room, I would deselect this, as you don't really want your students to have to wait to join the class. If you do enable this, you're going to have to allow them to enter each time they come into your Zoom class. So if you do want to prevent them from coming in before you let them, then you could use that option. There is also the option to record the meeting automatically. So if you don't wish to record the meeting, don't check this. If you decide later you want to record the meeting, you can do that, and I can show you how to do that also. We also have the alternative host option, and we're not going to cover that here. Looks like it's been locked. Okay, so we're going to hit save. And now you can see this is my scheduled meeting. I can delete it. I can edit it. If I come back to my main Zoom tab after this, I'll see it here. You can see the meeting I just scheduled. Now that I've done that, every student in my class has gotten an email that I have scheduled this meeting. So if for some reason you didn't plan on scheduling that meeting, go ahead and hit delete. So when they come, they're not seeing that and thinking you would like them to meet at that time. While I'm in web courses in Zoom, I want to show you where your cloud recordings would go if you did record a session. This is a recording that I did within my class. This will show up here if I scheduled a meeting and then I recorded a meeting. And it won't be available to students to watch until I hit publish. So I can toggle this back and forth if I want them to see the recording. This is a good option if you've recorded a class and maybe you're not sure that you actually want to share it, you want to watch it first. So it will automatically be unpublished. So you don't have to worry about them going back in and watching something. You have the choice to allow them to see that. So if you do want them to see it, just come here and hit publish. So that's using Zoom within the web courses interface. When you start a meeting, if you come here and hit start, it's going to launch Zoom for you. I'm not going to do that now because I already have a meeting started, so I don't want to kick myself out of that other meeting. But I will show you the Zoom interface. So after I hit start, it's going to launch Zoom. This is the desktop client. You can also join a Zoom meeting in a browser, much like I'm doing over here. The desktop client has a lot more features than the browser client. Some of those features include additional sharing options for your screen, which I will cover after I get through all these basics. So I have unmute and mute. I'm unmuted right now, obviously in this meeting, but I'm not muted in your meeting. If I, for some reason, am not hearing myself or the students aren't hearing me, I can click this caret and make sure I have the correct microphone set. I have an external mic on right now. That's why I have this one selected. I could also use my built-in microphone on my computer. Same thing for my speakers. I have my external headset selected, but I can also use my internal speakers. They have a lot of cool features where you can actually test any of that. There's also in the desktop client, if you have yourself muted and you're trying to talk, it actually gives you a warning saying that you're muted. So there's a lot of like helpful features while you're actually doing your lecture. You can start and stop your video. I'll do that real quick so you can see me. Hi. And then when you're ready to stop sharing your video, you can hit stop. I have the ability to invite other people. If you started this in web courses, your students are already invited, so you probably don't really want to invite anybody else. But if you did, you have that ability by either emailing them or copying the URL. There is a manage participants option, which I have open already. I'll close so you can see it pop up in the right-hand corner. This is where it'll show me everybody that's in the meeting. It will also show me if they're muted or if they're sharing their video. I can come down and at any point mute all of them, or I can unmute all of them. If you have a smaller class, you might be okay with just like managing that by participant, but if you have a very large class, it might be beneficial to use these buttons here. Students, much like you see now, you have the ability to, they have the ability to raise their hand and get your attention through different things. So if a student actually did that, you would see it come up in by their name. So we'll see if Stephen can raise his hand. And then we have, oh yeah, you can see that pop up right here. So now I know that Stephen has a question and I could actually unmute him, or I can lower his hand, or I can come down here and clear all, because they have the ability to tell you a lot of different things. They can respond. They can let you know you're going a little too fast or a little too slow in your lecture. We also have this chat option down here, and to see that window, you would just click chat. And this is where I was saying earlier is you have this to and this drop down. So I can actually directly speak with just Stephen, or I can speak to everyone in the meeting. You're seeing the webinar version of Zoom, which has a little bit more features with the panelists, but you're not going to have to worry about panelists and things like that in your Zoom meeting. So I also have the ability to share files, and I can save the chat. So I also can turn off the chat if things are getting a little too crazy. I can allow participants to only talk with me, or only talk publicly, not privately. I can also have it so that they can't chat with anybody. So those are some of the very simple basics. If you want to dive a little deeper, there are breakout rooms available. I saw somebody mention that they wanted to see that, so I'll show you that really quick. If you wanted to use a breakout room, this would be good if you were doing group work or something like that, where you wanted to have your students split off and have almost like their own Zoom session going on where they're able to talk with each other and do some work. And then at the end afterwards, you could have them all come back to your main classroom per se or Zoom session. So if I go ahead and click breakout rooms, I can assign them manually or automatically. If I do manually, I would actually have to add the students to the breakout rooms. If I did automatically, it would sort them. So I'm going to do manually. So if I create a breakout room, I can then assign students to it. So I'll assign Stephen. So now he's actually, you're going to see, it's going to look like he's left my meeting, but he's still here. He can come back later. But I'll go ahead and assign him to that room. And then when I'm ready to have all the students break out, I can hit open all rooms. So I can jump in and out of those rooms also if I wanted to join Stephen. I can broadcast a message to all of them. So I could say, I'm going to close all the rooms. And Stephen would get that notice, and then I could close all the rooms. They have 60 seconds to finish what they're working on and come back and join the main meeting. But Stephen jumped right back in. So thanks, Stephen. Hi, welcome back. So also, like I said earlier, when you were setting up scheduling your meeting, you have the option to record automatically. If something really cool is happening in class and you did not select that and you have now decided that you really want to record that, you can come down here and hit record, and you have two options. You can record onto the computer. If you're not seeing that option in your instance, that's because you're using the browser version. In the browser version, you can only record to the cloud. I'm on the desktop client, so I'm able to record on my computer, and I'm also able to record to the cloud. If I record to the cloud, I am going to get a little icon on the top left corner, which I will show you in this instance, that I'm recording. You can see here that I'm recording. When I'm finished recording and I hit stop recording, I'm going to get a notice that tells me that my recording will be available at a later time, and that I'll have an email letting me know that that's ready. I will let you know it does take a while to get your recording if you record to the cloud. I've recorded several sessions over the last few days, and each one has taken at least a couple hours for me to get that email and have it completely processed. So if you're recording and you're not seeing your video right away, that's why. Just be patient. It'll be there eventually, and you'll get an email with the link. You'll be able to share that in your course or with anybody that you'd like to share it with. So I think that's most of what I want to cover. I want to come over and just make sure that I'm not missing anything. So let's see. There's polling feature, which is really cool. Oh, sorry, I forgot the most important thing. So if you want to share your screen, like I'm doing right now, we have that down here. You can click share screen. It's gonna pull up this menu with a lot of different options. I can share individual windows. So I have like a PowerPoint open here. If I wanted to share that, I could share my entire desktop, which is what I'm doing right now. For you guys, that's what you're seeing. I also have this whiteboard option that I can do. So if I select this and hit share, I now have a whiteboard that I can draw on. Right now I'm actually using my mouse to do this, but if you have a touch screen, which I know a lot of faculty have surfaces and different things like that, they can actually draw on this whiteboard space with their computer. There's also the ability to like link an iPad or an iPhone if you'd like to use that option as well. just because you're in the whiteboard doesn't mean that you can't do other things like such as add text. I can add stamps and different things. So maybe as while I'm covering things, I can check it off. I have an eraser, so I can easily erase things that I've written. Or if I have different things around the board and I want to erase everything, I can clear the entire board. So if I go to clear all drawing. And I also can save this. So if I've worked out a lot of problems and I want to make sure I save that, I can do that. So here, so I'm going to actually come up and hit stop sharing. When I'm ready to stop sharing anything, I can come up here and hit stop share at the top. I think that might be it. There is this closed caption option here, which I'm not going to cover here, but I do just really want to say that if anyone is in has a course that they know they have a student who needs closed captioning or they need any kind of accessibility services, hopefully you've received an email from Student Accessibility Services about that. If you do have any questions about that, there's some information on the Keep Teaching site, but we highly recommend you reach out to Student Accessibility Services to make sure that if you're doing live lectures, there is somebody who's going to caption like the recording for you or be in there to live caption. We don't want any students not getting access to the materials they need to learn over the next few weeks. I think that's it. Let me jump back over here. I'm going to hit stop share for just a second so I can jump over and make sure everything's good in the webinar. So let's see. We do have one question left. Looks like a lot of questions. I just pulled up the Q&A tab. So looks like we have a lot of questions that have already been answered. There are a couple more questions left in there. I encourage you now, if you have anything else that you are curious about, to ask a question there so we can get that answered. Okay, so June asked, you mentioned the feature of polls. What is this? So similar to polls like in web courses, you would actually be able to poll your students, and I can show you that really quick. Let me share my screen again. All right, hope everybody's seeing that. And so I can actually come down here, select polls. I can add a question. So looks like it's taking me over here. All right. This might be a little tricky just because I do have 2 instances of Zoom running right now. I'm not sure where this is actually going to add this poll. I'm a little scared of where that's going to happen. So I'll go ahead and give it a shot. Why not? We're all having fun here and experimenting. So you can make it anonymous. And I will do. Please don't judge me for my poll question. All right, so let's see. So now I have this poll question here, and I can actually launch the poll. We'll see if our student will respond. Let's see. Colors is happening. Let's see if our students can actually be able to answer this. So when you launch this, students should be getting like a notice and they should be able to respond. I do want everybody to kind of be aware that students are going to be joining, you know, from different devices. Some students are not going to have the features that every student has. So I think right now we have Stephen using the iPhone version. So it's possible that he's not seeing this poll. So I just want you guys to all be aware and be patient with your students that some things, might not go as planned, especially this first week. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. And then let me cover one more thing. If your work or anything, like if the assignments that you have can be done within web courses, we highly recommend you post those kind of things in there. So if you are doing a poll or you're doing a quiz or doing something like that, there are features for that within web courses. A lot of students are going to be, figuring this out also. So we want to be patient with them and we want to make sure that they're getting everything they need. So I would recommend like having Zoom meetings to share content and have like interactive things happening with your student, but also be mindful that posting recorded videos, posting assignments, posting discussion boards, those are the things that are going to be the easiest for your students to access right now because they are familiar with web courses. They might not be very familiar with Zoom at this point. So I highly recommend you you stick with the things that they know and that they're comfortable with also. So I'm going to jump back over and see if there's anything else. Let's see. I have a few open questions. Would you review the difference? Let's see. Oh, some of these are being answered as I'm reading them. If you start a breakout room session, can students choose which room they go into? No. So, no, they are assigned a room or it's assigned automatically. I don't believe that there's a way that they're going to be able to choose that. You're going to have to moderate that. You're going to have to choose where they go. So I would recommend that you either know how you want to group your students before you get to that point, or if you don't really mind, just go the automatic sorting route.
I wanted to talk about UCF here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know how many of you are already familiar with UCF here. It is an attendance taking tool that's been that a team at the Center for Distributed Learning developed, and it's been added to web courses at UCF. We wanted to give you all the option to use UCF here, even though it's generally used for face-to-face courses. There is a workaround that you can do. It's not how it's really intended to be used, but since this is special circumstances, we wanted to show you how you could do that. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you.
1 second, Janae, and I'll give it back.
Okay, thank you.
Make.
Thank you. Right. Okay, here we
go.
Okay, so let's go back to my Keep Teaching workshop course. So what you'll do is exactly like Zoom, if you don't see UCF here in your navigation menu, you'll go to Settings, click on Navigation. It'll be down here, find it down here. You can drag it up. I already have it up here, UCF here. And then if you do make a change there, make sure you click Save. So go ahead and click on UCF here to access it. What you'll do is you'll create a new session. You'll do this every time that you want to take attendance. Students aren't really going to be there to do the usual scanning of the QR code. So what you'll do is end the session, and then you're going to manually take attendance. So I have a couple of students in here now. What we recommend doing, since usually most students are there, but some are not, mark all present. You'll be warned that that's what you're doing. Sounds good. So they're both present. So you'll see that now if you go to your gradebook, for your attendance assignment, they each have their 5 points because they've been here, because they attended class. So then the next time you take attendance, if one of these students did not attend, then they're going to end up having a 2.5 out of 5 and so on from there. So UCF here is another tool that you can use now that you're teaching your students remotely. And I think
Okay.
that, let me see if there are any questions that I can answer live really quickly. No, we don't currently have a workshop planned. We don't currently have a workshop planned about testing, no.
I can I can show them kind of how to test. I'm guessing. Oh, are they talking about? I think they're talking about tests.
I think someone already answered it because it went
Okay.
away.
Okay. Okay. I do kind of want to cover one more thing because I know a lot of faculty are curious about kind of testing Zoom. I think they were asking about actual tests. But if you're trying to test Zoom and you don't want to alert your students that you scheduled a recording and you don't want them to know about any of that, you can actually navigate to, I might have to ask to be a host again. Hold on. Let me show them this. Janine, do you mind if I grab that again?
Sorry, doing it now.
Good. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So, if you are curious how to test Zoom without alerting any of your students, and you navigate to Zoom, ucf.zoom.us, you are brought to this page. You can sign in to look at some of the recordings that you might have done outside of class. So I can see this. So these are all my tests that I've been doing. But I can also just go ahead and host a meeting. And if I do that, it's going to open the Zoom client. And this is going to be completely outside of my web course. This is not going to be, my students aren't going to get alerts that I'm doing this. So you can go in there and do kind of what I did earlier, is just play around. You can record, and you can do anything like that before you go ahead and schedule those meetings. So that's definitely going to be useful. It's also going to be where you'll be able to find all of your recordings, including ones that you've done in your class. So you can see here that I have the one that I've done in my class, and where you can find the links to share those. So that was just one more thing I wanted to show, but let me check back over here. All right. I don't see any other questions. I'm gonna check the chat one more time. Does anybody have any more questions? We have a few minutes left to do that. Okay, I see one in the chat. This isn't a question that came through Q&A, but does the Zoom app and Web Courses app synchronize? So the Zoom integration within Web Courses is a way that you can schedule your classes. And then it is, I guess, in a way synchronized in that you're going to be able to notify all your students that you have a Zoom recording scheduled. But you're not actually running Zoom within Web Courses. I know that's really kind of a tricky thing to explain, but you're still using the Zoom desktop client to run your meeting. It's not being run directly in Web Courses, if that helps make sense. If that makes any sense. You also it is synchronized in a way that you have your recordings in that course if you had scheduled the Zoom meeting through Web Courses. So I hope that helps a little bit. I am going to kind of leave this. I see some more particular questions coming in. I say we just kind of leave this open. If there's any of our panelists who have anything that they think might be missed, they can go ahead and message me, and I'd be happy to unmute them and let them chime in on anything. If not, I am going to go ahead and close this meeting. But I do want to let everyone know that let's see. Oh, more questions are popping in, so let's not do that. So there's this particular question for UCF here. Q&A and chat. Okay, what is the difference between Q&A and chat? So the Q&A portion is that's really what you're just going to see in this webinar. There isn't, you're not going to see that in your Zoom meeting. Your students are going to be communicating with you through chat. So definitely use chat in your Zoom meetings. So that one's good. As far as adding previous record attendance to UCF here, I'm not a UCF here expert. If Janan has anything, I'd let her kind of chime in on that. But I do think that there is a way to go in and manually add that.
Yes. So you can, if you wanted all your attendance in one place, you can certainly go to UCF here, and what you can do is, I guess I can share my screen. Yeah, let me share my screen and show this real quick.
Okay.
And this is for Cheryl Jones asking about adding previous attendance records so that you have your attendance in one spot, even if you didn't use it for the first half of this semester. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to share this screen. So when you go to UCF here, I clicked on new session because it was for this date. If I wanted to go back and select another date, so let's say, you know, February 4th, we had a class and I have an attendance record some elsewhere, I can click here. I can create a new session, and then you can go ahead and add your attendance here. So if everyone was present on that day, go ahead and verify that. And yes, you now have two UCF here attendance sessions, and you can absolutely do that for all of your past attendance that you've already taken elsewhere.
Awesome. Thank you, Janan. That's really helpful.
Sure.
Okay. So I saw, like, I've just been scrolling through the chat to try to catch up on some things. But I did see somebody was asking, you know, if they wanted to record a lecture without their students seeing it, that would be, you know, you would definitely want to do that through just going to Zoom and hosting a meeting then, and recording it and recording the cloud and sharing it with them after the fact. You will get that email that I mentioned earlier with the link, and you can share it with them through an announcement or anything like that.
I see a question to the panelists in the chat. If a student uses a cell phone to participate in the Zoom meeting, they cannot use UCF here. The students will not be using UCF here in conjunction with Zoom or anything like that. This is a strictly manual way to take your attendance using the UCF here tool that's in Web Courses at UCF. You would need to look at your list of participants or somehow take attendance manually during your Zoom sessions.
Awesome. Thank you, Janan. Let me see. I'm going to read these. So I'm going to answer this one live. Somebody asked if I would like to let students participate in my course. How can I do that and give them points? Should I do that with the raise hand feature? So you could, you know, have them raise their hand. There was also a few other options as far as, like, you can ask them questions and they can respond in the chat, or they can respond with simple yes and no with some of the icons that you saw in the participants window. So there's a variety of different ways you can do that. It's not going to be automatically tracked through Zoom. It's not going to be like it's connected to a grade for them in Web Courses. You're going to have to manually track participation in your Zoom class, kind of similar to how, you know, you would in a live class. But you can, like Janan said, there's a lot of different ways that you can do that within Web Courses. So you could have them do a quiz or something like that. And they would only know the answers to the quiz if they were participating in your Zoom session, or that might be one idea to do it. So. I don't see anything else kind of flowing through. I do want to remind everyone, if you have any questions, we have, like outside of this, we have a ton of resources available. There's web courses support, and they can, if you call web courses support or email web courses support, they're going to get you in contact with somebody that can help you do what you're trying to do. So definitely think of specific things that you want to figure out, and you can send that in an email to web courses support, and they will get you hooked up with the right person to do that for you. So whether that's trying to create any kind of media, or if you're just thinking of a better way to translate an assignment you do in class to your online course, anything like that, we're here to help. Does anybody else have, any of the panelists want to say anything, or is everybody good? Janann, did you want to add anything else?
I just wanted to reiterate that web courses at UCF support and all of the Center for Distributed Learning is available to help. We are working remotely, but we are accessible, so please contact us if you need anything. If you do call us and leave a message, please leave a message that will allow us to investigate your issue and get back to you via email. It's difficult to return phone calls since we're working remotely, but we will definitely help you, so please make sure that you leave a message, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
I'm seeing some more questions. I think throughout this entire week, I'm just gonna, I haven't confirmed this with anybody, but I think throughout this entire week, we're going to have multiple workshops on different things. Right now, we're just trying to get everybody covered on the basics of web courses and Zoom. But as you can see, even in this workshop, we covered other things that, aren't what we would consider the basics to get going. So we'll definitely be able to, we'll definitely be planning on scheduling like more workshops, and just keep an eye out on the Keep Teaching website for those. And I'm sure we'll be sending emails out. We'll be contacting you as best we can to let you know about all of the resources that are available. So I know it's going to be tough for everyone. It's going to be a tough transition, but there's people here to help. We're doing the best we can to get to everybody and help. So if you need anything at all, just don't hesitate to reach out to us. So I think I also saw that FCTL is also helping. We've kind of joined a lot of departments. There's our entire division and other divisions like UCF IT and everybody. We're all in. We're all working together, and we're all communicating with each other to make sure that you guys get the best information. So anybody to reach out to, even other faculty, if they are going to be helpful, definitely do that also. I think we're wrapping up. It looks like John has sent some additional information in the chat, but I'm not seeing any pertinent questions running through the Q&A panel. So I just want to say bye to everybody, and like thank you so much for being patient with us throughout this whole process. So if you need anything else, just don't hesitate to reach out. Right? Oh, yeah, John, go ahead.
One second, I just want to chime in here. At the end of this session, we're going to rip this recording off and place it on the Keep Teaching website. We'll also include a transcript of the chat and Q&A and our Q&A session as well, so you can review that. And as I mentioned earlier, we do encourage everyone to attend our future sessions as well, where you'll get some more one-on-one time with us and our moderators here, and then always check back with Web Courses support as well if you need any assistance.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Yeah, I think that's it. I think anything that wasn't answered, we're going to comb through too and try to answer. And we'll be creating a lot of frequently asked questions content on that Keep Teaching site. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.